Hi, I'm Helen, and if you're experiencing the menopause and getting hot flushes, night sweats, anger, rage, irritability, mood swings, then this yoga class is for you. We will be focusing on releasing heat from the body with some nice cooling forward folds, hip openers, gluteal stretches, really nice chill class. Props that you will need today are a yoga strap. If you don't have a strap, you can always use a belt or a dressing gown cord, tie, something like that. And blocks. If you don't have blocks, then just grab some cushions, and I will see you on the mat. We'll start today's class with a little bit of hip opening, as the class is about reducing heat in the body. We hold a lot of heat in this area, so hip openers and gluteal stretches are great for releasing heat. So come to a comfortable cross-legged position. Grab hold of your block. On an inhale, lengthen the spine, and then as you exhale, tipping from the waist, just come forward to any degree that's comfortable for you and start to settle here. So this really gets into the outer hips and will set us up for the rest of the class. So you may want to close your eyes and just turn the arrows of attention inwards. We just landed on our mat, so it's time to ground ourselves and settle and focus on how we feel in the body, the mind, and the heart. A nice, deep, even breathing. And as you start to surrender, you may get a little bit deeper. But we're only just starting, so we don't need to go super deep into these poses. It's just to bring awareness to the hip area and encourage a little bit of opening. And then inhale, come up. Whatever knee is in front, turn to face the opposite knee, and we'll extend out over this. Again, tipping from the waist. So you should feel this in the opposite outer hip, and breathe here. And then inhale, come up. Change the cross of the legs. It's often a different story on the other side of the body. Inhale, lengthen out of the waist, and as you exhale, coming forward. Then inhale, rise, rotate to that opposite knee again, and extend out. Then inhale, come up. Block goes to the side, and we'll make our way onto the back. So get there any way you can. Release gently down. Just bring the knees into the chest. Widen the knees so they're facing the armpits. Feet come up to the sky, and we'll come into happy baby. So you may grab the backs of the thighs, and this might be your position. You can grab the outside of the feet or the inside, whatever feels good for you. Put gentle pressure on the feet or the backs of the thighs so the knees are steered towards the armpits, and settle here. So the entire spine should be on the floor, tailbone going towards the bottom of the mat. If you try and visualize that, keeping the shoulders wide and relaxed, and breathe here. So this is a great pose for releasing heat. It's unknown why the menopause causes hot flushes or hot flashes, night sweats, etc., there is a theory that estrogen helps with a hormone called noradrenaline, which is used to regulate body temperature. So as our estrogen decreases, this affects how noradrenaline works. And so as estrogen can be produced in other places in the body, in the endocrine system, is why it's so important to maintain our health during menopause, so these other glands are operating optimally and replacing that decreased estrogen. This is why stress is one of the worst factors for exacerbating your symptoms. Because when we're stressed, we produce cortisol in the adrenals, and the adrenals really take over from the ovaries to produce estrogen. So if your adrenals are pumping out all this cortisol to deal with stress, they're not going to be able to replace the estrogen. So that's why reducing stress is absolutely critical to make your menopause experience more pleasant. From here, release the feet and bring the knees into the chest, and we'll just do a few knee rotations. So grab hold of the tops of the knees and allow your knees to fall away from you, so you're using your hands to hold them, so you can really feel the femur bones descending into the hip sockets, and do a couple of knee circles in one direction, maybe 5 in one direction, using the hands to help guide them, and then 5 in the other direction. Then grab your belt or tie and release the left foot down to the floor and the right foot up to the sky. So the left knee's bent, right leg extended up to the sky. Hook the belt over the ball of the right foot. These props are so great. They're like handy arm extenders. And so try and keep your shoulders down and just flex and point this right foot a couple of times. Just open up the back of the leg, relaxing the nerves. Then take hold of the belt in the right hand, maybe bring the left hand to the left hip, put a little pressure on that, and allow the right leg to open out to the side. So depending on your flexibility is how low your leg will come to the floor. You can keep the left leg bent or maybe extend it out. And just breathe here. If you want, you can put a block under that right foot to give it a little bit of support. Otherwise, you can use the strength of the hand to support it with the belt. And just breathe. Notice how you're feeling in the different parts of the body. Trying to keep that left hip pinned to the floor. Jaw is relaxed, tongue is relaxed. As you surrender and let go, you may find your leg becomes more open, the hip becomes more open, and the foot descends closer to the earth. And inhale, bring it back to the center. And release the foot. Right foot comes flat to the earth. Left leg extends up to the sky, hooking the belt around the ball of the foot. Shoulders remain on the earth. And straighten the left leg up to the sky. Pointed and flexing the toe a couple of times. Getting into the back of the knee, the calf, the hamstring. Then taking the belt into the left hand, allow this left leg to open out to the side. Maybe extend this right leg long, pressing gently down on the right hip to keep the pelvis neutral. Shoulders are relaxed, and breathe here. Making sure that jaw is not clenching. The tongue is away from the roof of the mouth. Keeping that left leg active. Then on an inhale, come back to the midline, bringing the leg up, releasing the belt. And maybe just windscreen wiper the knees from side to side. And we'll make our way up to standing. So bringing the knees into the chest, maybe rock and roll a couple of times. And come up to standing. So bringing the legs wide, we'll move into a wide forward fold. So some blocks might come in handy here. Feet are parallel. Toes facing forward. Relax the shoulders down the back. It helps sometimes here to activate your mula bandha, which is your root lock, so the perineum. So it's as if you're trying not to go to the toilet. Lengthen out of the waist, crown going towards the sky, and then tipping from the hips will fold forward. So you may or may not reach the earth. If you have blocks, you can bring the hands to the blocks, keeping the backs of the legs straight and active, grounding into all four corners of the feet. Core is engaged. And then you may find that you can bring the hands down to the floor and just descend forward. So the core is actually really helpful in this pose, helping folding the body in on itself. You can bring the hands down. If you make your feet a bit wider, you might find that your hands reach the earth or even the crown of the head. Wherever you are, be happy and just allow the body to descend to the earth. Crown of the head is parallel. Maybe shake out the neck. Release that. Some yeses and nos. Gently turning the head from left to right. And breathe deep. Using that core to help bring you closer. And release. So let go. This is an inversion because our head is lower than the heart, sending all fresh blood to the brain, helping gravity helping pump that blood around the body. Then on an inhale, lengthen out of the waist. You can push off the blocks or the floor or bring the hands to the hips and use the core to come up. We'll come into a version of Pigeon now. So moving into a downward facing dog. So hands are about shoulder width, feet are about hip width apart. Heels can be lifted or descended. Maybe bend the knees and get the sit bones to the sky. Upper back is wide. And just start to descend the heels. We'll only be here for a moment or so. Then on inhale, right leg lifts to the sky. And as you exhale, bring it forward so the right knee is behind the right wrist. Sit down onto this right outer hip and bring the shin parallel to the front of the mat. This left knee is coming out directly from the hip, and you have a 90-degree angle in the knee, a 90-degree angle in the left foot, and your body is facing forward. So your legs are in 90-90 angles. Inhale, lift out of the waist, and as you exhale, start to move forward. So this is a slight variation on Pigeon, and it actually gets a bit deeper into the hips, because with a lot of people, myself included, when I do Pigeon, my foot is very close to my groin. So I'm not really getting into the outer hip. But with this elevated version with the legs at 90-90, we can actually get a little bit deeper into the piriformis. Breathing here. And if it feels okay, you might start to descend forward. Remembering to fold from the waist, keeping the spine long. Closing the eyes. When we shut off one of the senses, it really allows us to tune in a little bit more to the body and to how we're feeling. And as you settle, you may bring the elbows down, maybe to a block. Or eventually to the earth. So this is a forward fold, and this activates the parasympathetic nervous system, so our rest and digest system. Helps us calm down, de-stress, and de-stressing is excellent for the menopause because it's not overburdening. We're not overburdening the adrenals. You can even support the head on the block, with the block. Then inhale, come up. And we'll switch to the other side, just a simple way. So the left knee, the left shin is parallel to the front of the mat. This right knee is coming out of the hip, sitting up tall. Feet and knees are at 90 degrees. Lengthen out of the waist and then start to come forward. Being kind to the body, not pushing. Observing how you feel. And if it feels good for you, you can start to come a bit deeper as the body starts to relax and surrender. You may have a different experience on this side that you did to the first side. And then when you're ready, gently come up And we'll move over. And then we'll transition from here into one of my favorite poses, Viparita Karani. So if you have a cushion or a bolster or a block, bring it with you towards the wall and we'll get into the pose. So if you did my brain fog class, you'd be familiar with this pose. Legs up the wall. I find the easiest way to get in is to bring this hip as close as possible and then release down and swivel the legs up. So for this version, we will be doing the wide-legged version. You can place your hips on, or your sacrum on a block or a bolster or a cushion. This makes it actually a little bit of an inversion because the heart is now higher than the head. And then just allow the feet to come open as wide as is comfortable, keeping the legs straight, and breathe. Maybe release the palms up to the sky and just surrender here. If you're feeling a lot of strain in your groin, you can always put the belt around the thighs and allow that to support the legs, or put blocks underneath this side of the outside of the hips, or the legs, sorry, to give it a little bit of support. Wherever you are, we'll close the eyes, turn the arrows of attention inwards, and just surrender here. So there are things that you can do to help reduce the heat in your body. If you experience night sweats, then look at what nightwear you're wearing. Make sure it's natural fabrics, no synthetic fabrics. I do believe you can actually buy sheets that are cooling as well. You could have a fan by your bed. And it's also wise to look at what you consume. So having a hot drink before you go to bed, this elevates the body temperature, and this can also stimulate sweating as the body sweats to try and cool the body down. Avoid caffeine and nicotine, which is another stimulant. And sugar is actually very heating in the body. So it's wise to reduce or eliminate alcohol. Someone once said to me that drinking a glass of wine was just drinking a glass of sugar. And it's kind of true. So these are just some small things you can do to help reduce the heat in the body. Another symptom we experience is rage or irritability, mood swings, menorage. I used to call it menorant. I used to like a good rant at work. So again, this is believed to be due to the reduction in estrogen. So estrogen works with serotonin, which is our sort of feel-good, happy hormone. So as the estrogen decreases, this affects the serotonin. So there are ways to boost your serotonin. One way is to get out in the daylight, in the sunshine, because it is created when we're outside, exposed to daylight. So if you have any chores that you need doing, like in the garden, try and do them in the morning and outside. So you're exposed to the sun. That creates the serotonin. And we actually need high levels of serotonin to get a good night's sleep, because that works with the melatonin, which is the sleep hormone. So if we haven't got enough daylight during the day, it's highly likely you'll have a restless night's sleep. Other ways to elevate your mood or manage your mood swings, I feel personally the best thing is just to get out in nature and feel charged by all the greenery, the sounds of the birds. I used to love walking my dogs when I was like When I was very stressed at work, my sanctuary was going over the woods with my dogs and just sitting there with them, listening to the birds in the trees, watching the squirrels. It really can recharge your soul. It's one of the reasons I like living here in Costa Rica. I've got this beautiful jungle in my garden. It's so full of life. In the morning when I go to the beach and just listen to the ocean. It's a far cry from when I used to commute into London and drinking coffee, reading the metro, feeling stressed before I even got into work, all the jostling on the underground. And I still had the whole day's work ahead of me. So try and get out in nature as much as possible. Try and expose yourself to the sunlight. Reduce stimulants like nicotine and caffeine and alcohol. And take time to just relax and do nothing, recharge. We'll start to move out of this pose now, so you may need to help your legs with the hands on the outside of the thighs. Release off of any prop. And we'll make our way onto the back for final resting pose. Savasana. Allowing the feet to flop open, palms up to the sky. Surrendering down, eyes are closed, attention is turned inwards. Just observe how you and your body feel right now. I feel very calm and serene. And just breathe. Start to tune your ear in to the furthest away sound that you can hear. And then bring your awareness to the closest sound that you can hear. Bring your awareness to the fingers and toes, maybe move them a little bit, opening and closing the hands, scrunching and extending the toes. Interlace the fingers and turn the palms inside out, stretching away from the body. Toes in the opposite direction. Full body stretch. And roll over onto your favorite side, coming into the fetal position. Palms come together like a pillow under the cheek. Settle here for a moment. And keeping the eyes closed, gently push yourself up to a comfortable seat. Bring the palms face down on the knees for grounding. Spine is straight, shoulders are relaxed, chin parallel to the floor. Thank yourself for taking time for this class, taking time for you. It's so important to nurture ourselves during this experience, this season of life that we're in. Bring the palms together at the chest. Thumbs up to the third eye. Bring the palms to the lips. And then palms back to the chest, to the heart. I'll close today's class by saying thank you for practicing with me. I hope you released a bit of heat from the body and maybe learned something that can help you support your own menopause journey. And I hope to see you again soon. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed the class, and please leave me a comment about any classes that you'd like me to teach. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and I hope to see you again soon. Thank you.